What in tarnation? Normal clothes again? What?
Oh, they work.
I think I stay so hype every day. Like, I don't really have that much energy. I'd rather sit on the couch all day. And again, that look. Like, what are you looking at? He just does what he wants. You just do what you want, don't you? Yeah. So it's been a couple weeks and I haven't had the Veloster out, so I think it's time. Thought maybe I'd go over some of my previous rides. I'm gonna think real far back, and I don't know if I can locate pictures for all of my old cars that I used to have, but my inventory list, what I used to drive and stuff like that, it's not real exciting, and everybody's gonna be like, you know, they suck. Whatever. I like all cars. Don't get me wrong. My very first car was given to me. It was passed down. My dad bought it for, I can't even remember, I think it was like $700, and it was a 1985 Chevy Celebrity. Yeah, it's ugly. They had the 2.5 Iron Duke that you could not kill, and he bought it as a work car. My brother got his license, he gave it to him. My brother's a couple years older than me. He drove that for a while until he bought his first car. Then my dad drove it as a work car again for, I don't know, maybe a year, I can't remember. Then it was passed down to me. Oh, I missed a part there. When my brother had it, he was up in Altoona, PA. And there's a bunch of malls and stuff up there, and he was up there with a buddy, and somebody in a split bumper Camaro, of all Camaros, rear-ended him. Maybe it wasn't a split bumper. I don't think it was a split bumper because it had the point in the front, and it like dented the trunk in like into a point. Well, my cousin Jerry had his own body shop, still going. He's very good. He fixed the rear end and painted it while Dad had the car totally repainted when he bought it. It was actually nice looking. It was like a light blue. After my brother got rear-ended, he pulled the trunk back out and faded it like from an angle from the back of the roof line down the car like towards the front. And it faded from light blue to dark blue in the back. So that's when it got the blue blur. That's when we called it the blue blur. But Dad drove it a couple years, then I got my license, and I drove it until I bought an S10. And I have owned about every model S10 there is. I had can't remember the years. I had an old 4.3, put a lift kit on it and duals. It wasn't really spectacular, but it was just like the square body, extended cab, and it was a stick shift. My first truck. And I wrecked it in the snow one year, totaled it. Then I went from that to a 94 extended cab, two-wheel drive S10, and I loved that truck. It was a 2.2 with a 5-speed, as slow as can be, but it was fun. You couldn't kill it. I ran the guts out of that thing. I put 18-inch chrome wheels on it, low-profile tires. It was black. I lowered it. I put a sunroof in it. I loved that truck. Drove that thing for years, and I sold it. I think it had 190,000 miles on it when I got rid of it. Got another S10. I bought a Volkswagen Jetta. Drove that thing for years. It was a stick shift. I was all about stick shifts. I sold the, wow, did I sell the Jetta first? No, I don't. Yeah, I sold the Jetta, and I bought a 2000, can't remember, 4 Audi A4. Somebody had just put an engine in, new turbo. It was a stick shift, all-wheel drive, very nice looking car. It had some issues, air conditioning didn't work, and I didn't worry about it until it got to summertime, and I was driving into work with it, and it just started making this horrible metal on metal grinding noise, and I sounded like I blew it up. It was clanging, ticking, like everything. I got in, parked at work, got underneath it, and the AC compressor exploded. Like, the bolts were hanging out of it, was cracked, the whole housing was busted, and oil was leaking out of it, and it didn't work anyway. But I could never get the AC to charge, so I was like, oh, the compressor must have been bad. So I bought a compressor. I had problems with the fans. I had a lot of problems with that Audi, and I still loved it for some reason. So I put an air compressor, AC compressor on it, and took it to a garage and had them do the vacuum test and charge the AC, and then the AC worked after that. So I had that problem fixed. Then the next stupid thing I did was a diode mod where you trick the computer to thinking you're not over boosting, and then I put a manual boost controller on and ran it at 15 to 16 PSI all the time. And I think they run about 8 or 9, so without tuning or anything. And I ran it like that for a while until the turbo started to make howling noises when it was cold, meaning the bearings were going out. The seals weren't leaking, but the bearings were going out. I still have the turbo in my basement. I've had it there for years, but it still worked. And I just decided to get online, found a Godspeed KO4 turbo. They have a KO3. Direct bolt up, bought that, put it in the car, which seriously took like, what do I want to say, an hour to do the turbo. Like, it was an easy job. Direct bolt up, everything is identical from KO3 to KO4. And then I left the manual boost controller on, but I turned the boost back down to stock. It was like I was running 9 to 10 at the most. The old turbo was definitely seeing some temperatures. I have it in the basement. I'll show you guys, but I had the wastegate. There's cracks in it. It's an internal wastegate, and there's cracks around it, and there's just cracks all over the housing of it because it was so hot. But yeah, you live and you learn. I'm stupid. When you're younger, you're like, turbo, more boost. You don't think about anything else. You just want to put more boost in it. So it did feel like it made it more peppy, just a little bit, but it was just like, it wasn't that it was smooth power, it was just because of the manual boost controller, it would go from like lag to boost like that, and it would hit hard. But yeah, so this is a weird upgrading vehicles here. I sold the Audi with the KO4 on it and stuff, which a year later the guy messaged me. He said about how it was still running great, asked about the light bulbs because I had HIDs in it, and I was like, because I went years fixing it and working on it and stuff. Anyway, I sold that and I bought a Hyundai Tiburon GT limited edition. It was a 6-speed 2.8. I put a full cold air intake. Nope, he had them on sale. I think I got it for like $60 or something like that. And they went the whole way down into the front bumper, down by the fog light. And bought cheap duals off eBay, had them put on. And they honestly sounded awesome. The intake and the duals and stuff on it. That car, I mean, I underestimated it. I heard that they were turds, but it seriously, it ran great. If you were going 60 and you shifted to third gear and smashed it, it would throw you back. Like, it ran great. And I ran the guts out of that thing, but they had rust issues. I had one A-arm rust out on me, and I was going low speed. I was almost by my house here, and the steering wheel just ripped out of my hand, and I was losing control of it. I got out and looked, and the wheel was cocked out like this. Anyway, I replaced that myself and found out later on that Hyundai covered that stuff because of rust. Doors rusted underneath. I did body work on them and made them look better, and I sold it. The other A-arm rusted out on the other kid who bought it, and he actually contacted Hyundai, and they fixed it for him for free. But yeah, I did a lot of stuff. I put 350Z wheels on it, and just like, I liked that car though. It was rough. It was, you know, whatever. But got rid of that and then went for a practical car, and I bought a 2013, I think, 2012 Hyundai Sonata. Nothing spectacular, but I loved it because it was like the first newer car I bought. It was like awesome to me. I had a new car. I had Bluetooth connection on the radio and like all these gadgets that I don't normally have. And anyway, so I drove that for a couple years, and then I took it in on a recall, the Hyundai garage, and I was just like, I was looking around, and they said, "You want to look at anything?" And I was like, "Nah, not really." I said, I like my Sonata, you know, and he said, "Well, we could probably get you a newer one and get you in a payment about the same." And I said, "Well, if you can keep my payment the same and get me a newer one," I said, "I might be interested." So they looked around, and in their warehouse, they had a 2014 with backup camera, heated seats, and a couple extra little things that mine didn't have. It was newer, lower miles. I was like, you know, I love mine, but I was like, the extra stuff, and if they can keep my payments the same, I think my payment went up maybe like 15 bucks, something like that. So I bought that and traded mine in, and I went to pick it up, and I got there, and there were scrapes down the side of it, and I was like, "Well, you didn't tell me about this." And he goes, "Oh, they're not really that bad," and yada yada yada. And I said, "Well, I'm not interested, so I want mine back." And he was like, "Hold on a second." He went and talked to the manager, and he came back and he said, "Well, we can fix this." And I said, "Well, then fix it, because I'm not buying it unless you fix it." They actually did body work and fixed the dents and painted it, and it looked like new when I got it. So, you know, didn't charge me any extra for it. So I was happy with that. So drove that one for a couple years, and I actually had problems with that one. It was like a fleet vehicle, and I kept getting a check engine light. This was after about a year of driving it. I kept getting check engine light for the catalytic converter or catalyst. Below threshold, insufficient, something like that. And they said, "Well, it needs a catalytic converter." Okay. Took it in, they put a catalytic, well, I went up and they checked it. I told them what the code was, and they said, "We'll bring it in and we'll check it over and fix it." So, and this is an hour drive for me. So I drove an hour there and waited and waited, and I came back and I was like, "Well, is it fixed?" And they said, "We checked it over, it needs a catalytic converter. We have it ordered and it'll be here next week." I was like, "So you checked the code, did exactly what I told you, and then you had to order the part anyway?" So I drove over here an hour for no reason. So I was a little mad. I bitched about having to drive over there and all that stuff, and they said, "Well, we can come get it when we get the part." And I was like, "Okay." So they drove a brand new Sonata. This was the newer model at the time. I think it was a 15, 16. And they changed the body style. Brought me a brand new one. Took mine, went over, changed it. The next day, brought it back. And I got to drive a brand new Sonata to work for free. So I was happy with that. So I drove it about another week. Check engine light came back on. Same thing. I called them. And they said, "Oh, well, maybe it's an O2 sensor." And I said, "You guys just throwing parts at this thing, like not actually checking it, or what?" You know, I was a little mad. So they said, "Oh, it'll be safe to drive though." I drove it to work that night, and it broke down on me. I was going up mountain. I go over 2 mountains to get to work. I was going up the second mountain, and it lost all power. Started knocking. Was like I could only go 5 miles an hour, and it was like clunk, 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 clunk. Like it idle. It sounded fine. As soon as you'd hit the gas, it was clunking. I thought the motor was blown. I was pissed. They have a warranty on them now for the rods, premature rod failure. So that's what I was assuming it was. I made it to the top of the mountain because I couldn't turn around. There's no room on that mountain. Made it to the top of the mountain, sat there. I had Blue Link in it. They gave me Blue Link for free when I had it. So I hit the button, told them needed a tow. They wanted to tow it into Hagerstown, Maryland, which is hours away from me. And I said, no, it needs to go to State College where I got it. And they said, we can't cover that bill. But I said, I don't care. I need to take it there. So it was a $200-some tow bill. Guy was cool as shit. He was redneck. Came picked me up, took me home, and then took it to State College and dropped it off. My insurance company covered that tow, which I was thankful for because Blue Link only covered like $50 of it. So, took it over there. I went over the next day. I said, I don't want that thing. I said, I shouldn't have this many problems with a car with under 20,000 miles on it. I was mad. I said, this is what I want. I want a Veloster Turbo. You're going to use ones. I said, I want to look around. They were like, oh yeah, we have one. Brought a Veloster Turbo. I said it had to be a stick shift. Oh yeah, we have them. We have one. They brought this used black one down. It looked nice. Got in it. There's 2 pedals on the floor. Look over, automatic shifter. I said, maybe you didn't hurt me.
Yeah, maybe you didn't hurt me.
Maybe you didn't hear me. I want a stick shift. He goes, oh yeah, no, we don't have a stick shift. Well, let's drive this one. And I was like, all right, whatever. And I took it out. Tires were wore bad. Couldn't even hear. It was like everywhere you went. It was horrible. The road really stiff. I didn't like it. And then I said, well, I'm not interested in that. They were trying to sell me some other shit, and I said, I'm gonna go look around. So, they had my car. I can't remember exactly what went down. But I didn't get anything that day. I had one of the R-Title cars. I had a spare vehicle, so I was driving that at the time. I went back over like the next weekend or something like that and just walked through. And that salesperson came out and he goes, oh, can I help you? And I said, yeah, I'm looking for a Veloster Turbo. And he said, oh, we don't have any. I said, all right, I'm going to look around. I looked at an Elantra GT. I found a stick shift. It was black. It was sharp looking. Brand new. Only thing I didn't like was it didn't have the touchscreen. I wanted a touchscreen stereo and, the goodies. Didn't have heated seats, nothing like that. But it was versatile. Like, it had a lot of room in it. I liked it. And I test drove it. And it ran good. It was really nice. And I liked it, but then I was like, I still kind of want a Veloster Turbo. I looked at some regular Velosters, and then the guy was just like, we might be getting some turbos in or whatever. So I went, and they have like a huge yard, and I went way to the back. And there's 2 brand new Veloster Turbos sitting there. There's a black one and a silver one. And they still had like stickers on them and shit. And I was like, maybe one of these is a stick. And I went over, I looked in the black one, and it was an automatic. Which I kind of wish I would have drove it. They're a 7-speed dual clutch, which might be pretty cool. I don't know, never drove one. So, and then I went over to the silver one, 6-speed. I was like, bingo. I went down there and I said, you got a Veloster Turbo up there, I want to test drive it. He goes, no, I don't think we do. And I said, well, you need to check your inventory. And the guy checked and he was like, oh yeah, we do have one. And he brought it down, we had to put gas in it. I took it for a drive. Like, I still couldn't decide whether I wanted the Elantra GT or the Veloster Turbo because it was like $2,000 difference, and I was just like, I don't want to cheap out and then not get the car I want, because I liked them. I don't know what it was about them. I just liked the Veloster Turbo. I like the look of them and everything. They're not like a hot hatch, but they're practical, and I liked it. So I ended up going with the Veloster Turbo. That's what I'm driving now. Like I said, had every Model S10. Trucks, my GMC, I used to have a 4.8 GMC that I was towing all these vehicles with, and I got it. The transmission was blown. Put a transmission in it, brand new brake lines, fuel lines, everything. Drove that thing for years. frame rotted out. I had to sell it as is recently, and I bought this nice white Silverado out here that I love. And I like scared to drive it in the salt now because I don't want it to rust on me because it's like spotless. And for 130,000 miles, it's like the cleanest Silverado I've found. So that's just a history of some of my vehicles. Not real spectacular, nothing real, you know, fancy, great, whatever. But I'm gonna get the Veloster out and we're gonna take it for a drive.
Alright, well, in order to have any fun in the Veloster, you must first turn off your traction control plus your stability control. Now this only works for 2016 models and up, the ones that have like the updated gauges. The traction control button, if you just push it in, it turns the traction control off. If you push it in and hold it, it turns the stability control off. So there goes traction control, hold it, and there it is. Once you get the double beep, traction control and stability control is disabled. It's so intrusive, if you don't turn it off, it'll correct you anytime you are having fun. It's like a no fun corrector. No fun! Working and being serious to actually go out and have a little bit of fun. I like having fun. I like it. It's just fun to get this out and drive it. I don't want to run the guts out of it right now. You can watch the gas gauge move whenever you run it like that. So I'm down to 30 mile a gallon, 30.8, which I know everybody's like, wow, that's really good. Not for what I normally get. This thing loves cold air though. It does run a lot better when it's cold out. But I'll see what else I get into today. I just thought I'd make a little bit of a vlog. You guys are responding good to the vlogs. I guess you enjoy seeing my boring life. There's not really anything around. I live out in like a small town in central PA. Like right now I'm down a back road. It's all woods and mountains. Lots of dirt bike riding and stuff. That's what I grew up doing. I still have a dirt bike. I need to work on it because I didn't ride it at all this year, so the carburetor's gummed up. But I love my dirt bike. Definitely going to be riding this summer, and hopefully I can get some good footage with this camera. It's sort of like a GoPro, and it's got a protective case. So I like to do poker runs, and all my buddies are now, after I told them, I said, you need to do poker runs, they're fun. Now that I haven't been riding, all my buddies are doing poker runs now. So maybe I'll have some people to ride with this summer. I need to slow down on my projects so that I'm not, you know, rushing on one, or, you know, I've already talked about this. I'm probably repeating myself over and over, but you understand what's going on. I'm gonna stop real quick, get me some burr, because I just drank my burr. And I don't have any in the fridge. I don't buy cases. I don't drink a lot, but every now and then I like to have one, sometimes 2 beers. So I'm gonna stop and get me some burr. Here you go again. Here you go again. Anyway, my wife wants me to do a video, a workout video for her. I edit her videos too. So I'm gonna close it out on this one. Hopefully next weekend we will have a new project. I'm hoping. We'll see. Have a lot of people interested in the Subaru right now. I'm pretty sure it's going to go, regardless of whether it leaves or not. I might be bidding next week. So look for new projects to come up. I'm excited about it. I know you guys are excited about it. When I don't have projects, I'll be vlogging because you guys like it. So go check out some of my project videos. I got the Subaru project, I got the Jeep project. If you're not familiar with my channel, go back and check those out. The Jeep was probably my most extensive build that I've done. I know a lot of people get sensitive when you say build because it's not really a build. No, it's not. I'm just fixing it up for reconstruction, but whatever. To me, it's a build because it was shit when I got it, and it was nicer shit whenever it left. So go check out some of those other videos. Please like, subscribe, and I'm going to keep putting stuff out for you guys. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out. Yeah!
A beautiful